Hello, it's me, aka No Brainer, and welcome to Spoiler Season, Display of Power, Spoilers time. Ooh, I'm excited. Yes, we have got ourselves the big blue hero cards, and we're going to be spoiling those shortly. But first, I do worry that Destiny Down Under might have been a little bit out there in terms of a reference, you know. I mean, I like to make references to some of the older content creators out there, but Destiny Down Under was a nice Australian-based podcast group who, who wanted to do podcasts in the Australia region, but they only ever made like 7 or 8 episodes and they disappeared off the face of the earth. It was really unfortunate. It was a shame as well because I actually met a few of them at the 2018, I want to say 2018 Worlds, might have been 2019 Worlds. I don't remember years anymore. It's past COVID times. And if I sound a little weird, it is because I am recovering from COVID. I was supposed to get these spoilers out for you way sooner, and I do apologize. So let us show now these spoilers. We have Suppress Your Fears, Luke Skywalker 1417, and Luke's Teachings. And, what do you mean they're upside down? Oh, yeah, of course, the jokes, right? Yeah, of course, games like, because, Australian. Yeah, don't worry, here you go, here's the right way. Yeah, so, we have a zero-cost neutral event, a 1417 Luke with 2 melee, double focus resource, and a special, and Luke's Teachings, which is basically an Old Man Luke die. It's a Way of the Force Old Man Luke die, it's got the same sort of effects. So we're going to start here, and we're going to start by talking about, of course, the big one, Man Luke, right here, and don't worry, I didn't commit to the joke. Don't worry, I'm scared of commitment. It's fine. Everyone knows that the best time to do a tournament list is 2 minutes after the tournament has started. It's fine. Alright, Luke Skywalker, one with the Force, 1417. So, after you activate this character, if there is a die showing damage in any player's pool, turn an opponent's die to any side. That's the activation effect. So he's got some built-in mitigation here, where once he activates, he can just blank the opponent's die. But it's an opponent's die to any side. It doesn't have to be a side that they had showing damage, but it will negate their damage. Alternatively, if you have damage, then you can focus your opponent's die off of something. Say Gideon's double resource side, for example. But Luke's got this nice little cantrip. I want to call it a cantrip, even though it has no cantrip effects, like how in a card game works. Because in a card game, a cantrip is something that replaces itself. It's a card that then, as part of it, you draw a card, more like how Lavish Cape might be called a cantrip, but not in this case. This isn't a cantrip, but it is a nice activation effect. It's going to be mitigation, some nice soft mitigation. Get rid of some of that opponent's best stuff, force them to have to spend either a focus on it or a reroll or something like that. It mitigates some of their good luck. On a 1417 body with 13 health, this guy's going to be kind of tanky. He's going to be surprisingly difficult to kill as a result of this effect. But anyway, the special is what we really care about here, because this die is decent, but for 17 points, I mean, you're looking at this die and thinking, well, this is more like a 14 point, 15 point, probably more 14 point character these days. So what does this special do? Well, you exhaust an upgrade attached to the character to deal 2 damage, or give a character 2 shields. And then you can re-roll the die instead of removing it. This is an exploding dice. Now, I did an article for a website called Your Destiny, a group called Your Destiny, that is unfortunately now defunct. Which showed off the Ray, the big Ray, the 1115 Ray, who, as part of it, when you resolve this thing, you get 2 shields and then you get to re-roll the die. And I did a whole thing about that and how, for Worlds, I chose Black One. I really like Black One, the vehicle, which was a 4 cost, which had a special of deal 1 damage and re-roll the die. And we've actually seen an explosive die in the form of Sabine lately. And now we've got another one on Luke, and I really enjoy exploding dice effects. But very specifically, this Luke's special is only works so many times. You can only do it a maximum of how many upgrades you have. So early game, it's not going to be very effective. You will be always able to reroll the die, like Sentinel's lightsaber, but you can't do the damage or get the shields all the time. So in effect, it's not quite another blank, but it is that sort of style if you don't have any upgrades. That said, how much value is this special right now? So, the thing is with these kinds of dice, is that in order to figure out how much value a die side has, one of these die sides have, you have to take into account what is the average value of the die. So, a 2 melee is always a 2 melee, but this special is 2 plus whatever the average value of the die is. Now, you can figure that out using some complicated maths, but I don't really do the maths side anymore. I've been at uni for a long time, but I'm a programmer, so I wrote a little program for it, a little simulator to figure this out, and the average value on this die is 1.82, which means that for the special, the average value of this special when you roll it is 3.82. That's almost a 4 base side. Now look at that die again, with that being a value of a 3.82, and tell me that this is a weak character, okay? Because that is a very good side. Now, that said, well, there's no that said about it. He has a 2 damage or a 2 shield side, and it is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to be very effective. You can get your focuses, you can focus into this special and just keep using this thing over and over again to get a massive amount of value from your focuses and your special chainings, and cards like Harness the Force in order to do some probably quite disgusting stuff here. I could see Luke die doing 6 to 8 damage is pretty ridiculous. That said, he has the problem of needing the upgrades. Now, there are some very, very good upgrades you can play with this. For example, Lavish Cape is a 0-cost upgrade. You don't get much better than 0 cost for this sort of thing. Lavish Cape does everything you want to do, and then it'll exhaust. Now, it's worth noting, I should have said this earlier, but it's worth noting that in this spoiler set for Display of Power, what we're going to be getting is a lot of cards, a lot of upgrades that want to exhaust themselves to have effects. And so Luke's not going to synergize that well with a lot of the cards coming out. We've already seen one, I think, in Force Sense, which is you exhaust it to resolve one of your opponent's dice as if it was showing a reroll. Luke can't really play that. But you can play Lavish Cape. And we've got cards like Utility Belt, which gives you +1 upgrade limit. Jark Eye gives you +2 upgrade limit. So, I mean, you could easily get like 5 upgrades on this guy with the Jark Eye. And just play normal blue Jark Eye, and then you've just got basically infinite rerolls of this thing. And it's going to do some pretty insane damage. You've also, of course, got your focuses with Yoda's teachings. Yoda's teachings here can give you some nice focuses, and can be used for the exhaust here. And there was something else. Let me see. Yeah, you've also got Hunker Down and A99 Aquata Breather, which were both on the reprint list. And they're both 0-cost upgrades, but these upgrades do require you to exhaust the upgrade to get the value. So really, it's just a 0-cost. It's going to be a 0-cost blank thing for Luke to do a thing, right? Especially with Hunker Down. If they take melee damage, the card's discarded. It's perhaps not good enough for this kind of thing. But, It's also a sad note that my favourite card in Jarkai is the IB-94 Blaster Pistol, and that isn't going to work at all with Luke, because you can't get the shield off of it. So stick to your Shoto's lightsabers instead. But yeah, so this is a Luke, and this is going to be probably a really good Luke. Now, of course, all elite characters have the problem of they're weak to Headstrong, and they're weak to Power of the Tribe. They're weak to all that stuff. All of the 2-cost removals, Command, they all have that problem. So Luke might have a bit of trouble just because of that being an issue. But if you can get these dice on here and get these dice to stick on here, this die has the potential to do a very large amount of damage. That said, Kai Mundi is quite popular, and there's a lot of hero shield generation in general, and that could be a problem for this kind of Luke deck to actually break through that, because of course it's special damage. It's mixed. You're not rolling just a flat melee damage then resolve. This is a mixed side, so you've got to resolve it first, and that gives your opponent time to then resolve their shield sides. There's definitely quite a few decks out there nowadays that really want to use to resolve their shields and get some nice magic shield value. But yeah, so this is a 13-point Luke, and this Luke is going to be strong. As I said, that is a 3.82 special side. You use your focuses on that. It's not like... So when you resolve the focus, it's not the equivalent of resolving like a 4 melee or something, because it's only... You're getting 2 plus whatever you reroll. So it's not... So really a focus is only worth 2 here, but it's worth 2, and you don't mind if you have more focuses than you have damage sides. Right. But yeah, I absolutely love exploding dice, and I'm going to really enjoy playing this guy. And he's also a Jedi, and at 17 points, he actually fits quite well with some of the characters that are a bit lesser played, like Cobb. Cobb is a 13-point Guardian in yellow, so he fits with the Lavish Cape theme. And, you know, Darksaber and that kind of stuff for the good Jark eyes. And Cobb is pretty good. He's a Guardian, he has the range sides, he does his damage. 24 health on 2 good sides here. He's got his focus to help with the Lukes. Like, I could see this being played. I don't ever play Cobb normally, because Cobb is not... He's not that fun, right? But now he might be. And then you've got Rex. Rex is always this really good character who's just struggled to find a partner, I feel like. Now, he's in red, he's not in yellow, doesn't have that much cape synergy. But, you know, he brings with him armory for the word weapon, for weapons. And you get the battlefield, and there might be some really interesting battlefields to have in this spoiler set. You also get to play Callus. Callus is also another really interesting one. Callus at 13 point. He's fit well with Obi-Wan, the 17-point Obi-Wan, yellow Obi-Wan. This is now a 17-point blue character who could fit with him. Doesn't have all of the reveal nonsense, but he does have discard sides. And Luke's effect to turn an opponent's die to any side is very effective if you've also got Callus getting rid of their hand, right? Luke is very happy to play with someone who has discard sides. Similarly, Gaza, she's the yellow she's yellow, and she's got the charm effect, which allows you to flip to focus a die. Now, why do I not have her here? Let me... Oh, this is all broken. I've broken everything. Oh no, Gaza, where are you? Let's go to card page, please. Go to card page. There we go. Okay, you guys didn't see anything. Everything's fine. We're all good. Gaza, she can flip Luke's specials, and she can tear out the hand as well before the... He can tear out the hand, give Luke some room to then roll out by already having got rid of the Headstrongs and Power of the Tribes and commands and all that nonsense. So Gaza could also be very powerful here. Now, it's worth noting we have recently gained a new plot, the Path. So I haven't got it up with me on this software, which is kind of awkward. But the Path says that you have to have a Jedi, and it costs 2. It costs 2 to play, and you have to have a Jedi. And it gives the non-Jedi Guardian, and then you can do an action to heal the character. Now, Luke can be quite tanky if he wants to be, because he can get 2 shields instead of dealing 2 damage. But the problem is, how many good 11s are there? I mean, there's the Republic Senator. The Republic Senator is absolutely amazing. But you really want to give Guardian to the Republic Senator? Don't know about that, Chief. But, you know, it's good, because Luke healing every turn with double Shotos on him, and this special is probably going to be really, really hard to kill. Although, at some point, I have to wonder, how good is he compared to Yoda? Because Yoda is insane. But so is this guy. Now, it's really interesting, but the Republic Senator is off-centered because because the name Clone Commander Cody is too long. Okay, interesting. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is Luke. He's going to be great. I'm really excited to see him play, and I'll probably really hate playing against him. Alright, let's move on now to the upgrade. Teachings. Luke's Teachings. So, this Luke's Teachings, the die is parallel to Luke. The big old Luke here. The what's it called, Luke? You know, I've forgotten so much about that second movie of that trilogy that I don't even remember the name right now. Yeah, anyway, Luke Skywalker. Woo! Okay, so parallel die with Way of the Force Luke. And also it has that special effect. You may resolve the shield sides of this die as if they were melee damage. It doesn't have the Move a Blue ability, but it also has another nice effect. After you activate Attach Character, draw a card. Now, there were two cards. There was the original Awakenings Luke, and also the card Fearless, which was a 2-cost upgrade that gave a shield and drew a card when the character activates. And so Luke has two major identities that they're pushing with this Luke's teachings, which I think is really cool. And a card is very valuable, actually, in this set. We've seen this with BB-8. Card draw is now actually quite valuable. So when I was talking about a cantrip, this is the real cantrip here with Luke's teachings, because you get to replace it immediately with the card draw, and you have this nice die. And the thing is, this die is actually a very nice die. The two shield sides means that this has 2 base 2s on it, which is a very, very good die. You're looking at something like a Westar. It has a 2 range and a modified range. IB-94, again, 2 range and a modified 2 range. This is just base sides. And you're going to dodge, like, block, cards that hit melee damage, just like Luke does. And the thing is, as well, very interestingly, Luke himself, this Luke is on the reprint list. We'll see if he stays on the reprint list, but I can't imagine he leaves. So this Luke actually plays Luke's teachings very effectively. Worth noting, is a unique card, however. But you could have Luke, play Luke's teachings on him, roll him out, get the draw, power action to move the Luke's teachings over to someone else, and then you get the extra card draw. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. So I could see some kind of Luke deck here with this Luke and maybe the Path or something. It's worth noting as well that the way this card works has always been interesting, because that means you can play cards like Force Mirage, which allow you to resolve the shield side as resources. You've got those nice base 2 sides that can then get you those resources to pay it back off immediately. Then you have cards like Forestall, which allow you to turn shield sides to other things. You've got stuff like Divert here, to resolve a shield to remove a die. That might be very good with this Luke's teachings. And the reason why I'm showing these, Hawkback Swoop allows you to resolve the shield as melee. If you've got a Taru, it increases by a lot. The damage increases by a lot. Stand Firm, remove shields. And then finally, Will the Force. Will the Force, super interesting with this card and with the big Luke. The 12-15 Luke, the old Luke. Because you get to resolve the die as if it was showing a shield. Then you get to resolve the die again. But the second time you resolve it, you can resolve it as melee. So you're effectively paying 1 to gain 2 shields. Or, if you've got Mastery in the tile, if you're playing Taru Mastery, you're paying 0 to gain 2 shields. That's pretty valuable here, Will the Force. Unfortunately, you can't resolve it as 2 melee twice. You have to resolve it the first time as if it was showing a shield. But yeah, super interesting with these kinds of cards. And the reason why I mention all of these is that I made decks like this in the past with this Luke, trying to abuse this Luke shield side stuff. And one of my big problems I was running into was that these decks, these cards that I was playing, ended up being dead cards a lot of the time because Luke's dice would get removed. And when Luke's dice gets removed, these cards that interact with shield sides aren't particularly effective. And there weren't any other shield side dice. But now we have Luke's teachings that can be a lot more consistent. Now, unfortunately, it's unique. If it wasn't unique, I'd be loving this card. As it is, it's unique. That is an unfortunate side effect of this. Because you can't then get out 4 Luke's dice, which then can all have their weird shield resolving stuff. But I could see Luke's teachings being a very powerful card. It's got the stats for it. It's got the... it can ignore the damage sides. This could be a very good card. It redraws itself. This could be a very good card. It is blue only, though. Blue character only. Worth noting that. It is blue character only. It is not like Yoda's teachings, which is spot a blue. Now, I have heard from the person who spoiled this that Yoda's teachings, their teaching set, is no longer going to be a spot blues. They're now blue character only. So Yoda's teachings is going to be the odd one out of this teachings concept. If they ever print another teachings, they're going to go with the blue character onlys rather than the spot of blues. I believe. Now they can very easily just change their minds again. It's also worth noting that Yoda's teachings was also a non-unique, and this Luke's teachings is a unique. So maybe they're going to go down the uniques paths, or maybe if they see Luke's teachings doesn't do too well, they're going to go on the Yoda's teachings paths and move these to the non-uniques. But it is interesting to see how the design of these cards have changed in concept, going from something like Yoda's teachings, which was designed to teach another person very powerful Force tricks, to Luke's teachings, where it is Luke teaching other people who are also blue characters, right? He's the advanced lesson, and Yoda is the more basic lesson here. But yeah, this is exciting. I'm really good to see. Really good to see this space a bit more and getting more use out of Luke's sides. Now, the final one here is Suppress Your Fears. 0 cost, neutral. Spot a blue character to turn a die showing damage to a side not showing damage. Then you may spot an exhausted upgrade to take 1 additional action. So if we just focus on the first part and ignore the rest of this. 0 cost, spot a blue to turn a die showing damage to a side not showing damage. So if you have something showing damage, you can turn it to a resource side or a special side. It's going to be great. But you can also use it as a 0 cost blank an opponent's die. Right? My opponent is showing a 3 range, boom, blanked, now they're not showing anything. You know, and this can work really nicely with the big Luke off of this because of his turn an opponent's die to any side. So you can do quite a lot of dice turning effects here. 0 cost blank a die is not a bad card at all. Now let's look at that other half. You may spot an exhausted upgrade to take 1 additional action. The question here is going to be, how difficult is it to get an exhausted upgrade? So Luke, as we've seen before, Luke, he wants to roll a special. So you already have to have a special in order to get Suppress Your Fears, which could get you another special. But what Suppress Your Fears lets you do, of course, is turn a die showing damage to anything you want, and then immediately resolve that symbol. So it allows you to, if you already have an exhausted upgrade, then you can go and turn Luke's melee to a special, and then immediately resolve the special, roll it back into the pool. Very good stuff. Or, if you've got someone who can get you that special chain, you can turn their dice to something, and then resolve that. Do I have... No. The Armorer, for example. Let me go find the Armorer here. The Armorer. Here they are. The Armorer, for example, could make great use out of this. So, the Armorer is also offset, and they... I don't actually know who they are behind the mask. And so they can... Well, they're the Armorer, obviously. They have a very effective special here. For 9/12, give this character 1 shield, turn a weapon die to any side, and if it's your die, you may resolve it. So they can turn... So you could have Suppress Your Fears, turn their 1 melee or 2 melee into the special, and then they'll let them turn the weapon die, resolve it. That's pretty good there. And then you can combo that up with the Beskin Spear, which is another... the Beskin Hammer, which is a spoiler card that I can't show right now. But it has, after you resolve this die showing damage, turn a character die to any side. So you could do something like Suppress Your Fears on the Armorers to a special, resolve the special onto the Hammer. The Hammer then resolves its 2 melee into Luke, who then flips to a special, and then since you're still resolving specials, you can then resolve the Luke special. That's a pretty cool combo, right? It's a really cool combo. This is some nice stuff. The question is, though, how effective are you going to be able to exhaust that upgrade? Luke's going to have to already have this. This zero cost. This could be a very effective card. Zero cost. Harness the Force. And Harness the Force was already a very good card, which was 1 cost, turn a die to a special, resolve it. This card could be way better than that because of its special chaining effects, because you're already resolving specials when you start this card. The problem is you got to get that exhausted upgrade, and with Luke you already have to have had a special resolved in order to start resolving specials. But what about other cards? What else can you play in order to get this to work? Well, first of all, you've got the Hunker Down. We've shown this. We've shown these. You've got Hunker Down, which as an action can exhaust an upgrade. So Suppress Your Fears can be turned on by Hunker Down almost instantly. Very easily. Action to turn it. To exhaust it. You just got to make sure you don't take melee damage. But, like, that's really effective. Then you've got something like a Quad Breather. 0 cost, again, exhaust the upgrade to block an indirect. So you've already got to have taken indirect for the Suppress Your Fears to work. Maybe you could take indirect yourself with some partisan cards. Maybe. And that can turn on the Suppress Your Fears. Then you've also got cards like the R3 Astromech. This counts! Okay? It's 0 cost. It is a mod, but it is an upgrade. Okay? You exhaust the upgrade, and you can spend 1 resource to add or remove a token on the attached blah. Importantly, if you do this action when you have 0 resources in the pool, I believe you get to just exhaust the upgrade. So the R3 Astromech can be turned on. Can turn on the Suppress Your Fears. Then you've got Force Assistance. Force Assistance, again, a super easy Suppress Your Fears turn on. You just have to spend an action to exhaust it. Roll the die into the pool. Suppress Your Fears, now online. You can either Suppress Your Fears, Force Assistance if you want, I guess, if you really want the shield. Very, very, very roundabout way of playing Hold Fast. Very roundabout way of playing that card. 0 cost, gain the shields. Or my favourite card! One of my favourite cards of the previous set, Seeking Answers, IB94. Exhaust the upgrade, give the attached character a shield, Suppress Your Fears, turns on very, very nicely with something like Yoda. Yeah, with this card. Sentinel Lightsaber, 2 cost. Again, you're going to have to have rolled the special, but if you're in a special chaining sort of deck, Sentinel Lightsaber could potentially do well here, so it exhausts the upgrade to resolve a die showing a shield without removing it from your pool, which, by the way, could be Luke's teachings. Because Luke's teachings, it just resolves the die showing a shield. It doesn't resolve the shield, it resolves the die showing the shield. So I think that works. Or maybe it does have to resolve it as a shield. Either way, though, if you have to resolve it as a shield, 2 shields, pretty good here. Without removing it from the pool. Reroll this die instead of removing it. So that reroll this die instead of removing it doesn't require you to exhaust the upgrade. So, because of that, Sentinel Lightsaber can be thought of as just having a 1 melee plus 2, 1 shield, and a blank. Which means it blanks quite often, 1 in 4 blanks. But, you know, Sentinel Lightsaber it takes time to get there, but it will eventually get you that value. So that could work very nicely because it will turn on Suppress Your Fears, or alternatively, Suppress Your Fears can turn this. Now, I think the biggest winner of this, actually, though, is Ahsoka. Because she exhausts weapons, and then you can roll those weapons into the pool, right? So the idea here is that if you have something like Ahsoka's lightsaber, which, if you've got 2 weapons, your value increases by 1, you can exhaust the weapons, roll them into the pool, Suppress Your Fears to turn that Ahsoka's lightsaber to a resource side. Especially if you have Jarkai, turn to a resource side, and then you get to resolve that resource side. And it will resolve for a 2 resource, or a 3 resource if you have the Jarkai with Ahsoka. I think this could be a very, very good card with Ahsoka to guarantee those resource sides, because Jarkai ultimately is I see Jarkai mostly as a ramp card, to be honest with you. It does good damage late game, but it is mostly a ramp card to me. It really gives Hero Blue a lot of resources. Hero Blue especially, because Hero Blue has trouble with resources. They might not in the future. Who knows? Who knows what happens. With Blue Milk, that really helped. Blue Milk really helped Hero Blue. But Hero Blue tends to have bad resource gain. And Suppress Your Fears can work as a reap. And Reap is a good card. So an extra Reap is pretty good there. Also, with knowing Suppress Your Fears doesn't have Ambush, so if there's any way, I know there is an Infinite, but I don't know if in Standard there is, but if there is any way to give Suppress Your Fears Ambush, you're going to then take 2 actions instead of 1, which is also really fun. Of course, there is also one other character. I mentioned her earlier, but I didn't have her up. Damn it, Sabine. It is Sabine. Let's go look at Sabine here. I am a prepared YouTuber. Sabine. Alright, so Sabine has another fantastic die. She, like Luke, so comparing the two, Luke's got this this die that's special, that this exploding die that gives 2 or deals 2, whereas Sabine, for 1 point more, because she's a 14/18, her die always explodes, but it deals 1 damage to each of opponent's characters. It's not as focused as Luke, and even though she's got +1 health, she's not as tanky as Luke because she doesn't give you the shields. And her power action isn't. I don't think it's great, honestly. It's good with her. It's good to have disrupt sides and then use them later on for other things, but I don't think it's an amazing power action. I could be completely wrong there. I have not played that much of Sabine other than Sabine Zeb, and Sabine Zeb is pretty insane, and Zeb doesn't really fit with Luke, although I guess it's got the focus sides. So maybe Zeb's just that good. I don't know. But Suppress Your Fears can work really nicely with Sabine, because if she rolls that 2 ranged or that 3 range, she can then turn that into her special, which against a 3-wide deck is a lot of value. A lot of value. And honestly, Sabine has been one of those characters who I've been expecting to do. I've been expecting her to be incredibly powerful, and then she's just not. She is good. She is very good, but she's just not quite there. But with okay, I should preface this. She's not quite there with Blue. I expected her to have a really strong partner in Kanan, and then that deck kind of didn't work out very well. But if Kanan was here with Suppress Your Fears, that'd be amazing. But it's worth noting, Kanan's rotating, so unless Kanan becomes, unless Kanan goes into the reprint list, he's not going to be an option. That said, let me just bring up Kanan and his lightsaber, because Kanan with Suppress Your Fears is interesting because he's got a turn effect like Luke, and so if him and Luke show back up, that would also be quite interesting. He's got that turn effect like Luke does, but Luke lets me choose the turn. Kanan lets your opponent choose the turn. But his lightsaber, if this lightsaber goes onto the reprint list, that would be very interesting, because after an opponent's die is turned, you may turn this die to any side. And then if the upgrade's on Kanan, you can then turn Kanan's die. And if this works with... So if we could definitely get this working in Infinite, but if we could get this working in Standard, that'd be pretty insane. Because Suppress Your Fears would let you turn the opponent's die to a side not showing damage. It'll let you blank the opponent's die, then let you turn the Kanan die. And take an additional action. So typically, Kanan characters... Typically, Kanan rolls out and then exhausts the Kanan's lightsaber to then turn the Kanan's lightsaber and Kanan's die. This Suppress Your Fears would allow you to do that. Would allow you to not do that. So you would activate Kanan but not use the Kanan lightsaber effect. Well, no, because you can turn the die to any side without using the then part, because the then is a may. So you could turn the Kanan lightsaber, and then turn it again, and then turn Kanan's die, and then resolve the whole thing. And Suppress Your Fears with Kanan, basically, is what I'm saying is amazing, but he can't... He's off the reprint list at the moment. But if he comes back, that'd be something right here. That'd be something right there. And he might. Yeah. So, we got some good stuff. Also, worth noting, something I forgot to mention. Look at this. Exhaust it. Kanan's lightsaber exhausts, so that's perfect for Kanan. And the opponent's die's turn, you may turn this die to any side. Part doesn't require the exhaust, which means that this part is perfect for Luke. If this goes onto the reprint list, this die can always turn if Luke turns an opponent's die with his, after you activate this character ability. So Luke might work very nicely with this lightsaber. I really want this lightsaber to come back on the reprint list, guys. But we've got some great tools with Luke already. So, this has been me against Slay99, aka No Brainer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Signing off.